Good afternoon, everyone. I'm British, so if you have any problem with my vocabulary, stop me and I'll answer as best I can. So this is the fun part. This is where we get creative. We start designing things out, bringing things to life, introducing images, video, typography, all that great stuff that we all love. But before we go into this, there's key elements to any campaign that drives success. So it could be a killer headline, it could be a persuasive subhead. But before we even start that, we actually go, okay, so what's next? We've got a plan in place, we have a strategy to build out, and this may answer one of your earlier questions about how do we determine whether we're going to do this or that. This is where we do that. So we ask ourselves a few key questions. What makes our audience tick? So what's that going to look like? What actually is going to convince our users, our audience, that we're better than the French Connections or the J. Crews or people like that of the world? So we look at that and we try to identify what that will be. That will help reinforce our messaging. So going into messaging, we make sure we write a killer headline. We come up with a good subhead that kind of ties it all together. Then we get into the creative decisions. So now we start thinking about, okay, typographically, what are we going to do? What resonates this brand best? They're very classical in their look and feel. Are they very modern? Are they very edgy? Do we want to go down that road? What's going to resonate with the audience? Do we do a women's only website or do we tie it in with the other website? There's things like that we do. And then we look at landing pages and say, okay, if we're going to drive from a certain type of ad, how does that landing page look? And what should we carry over from a brand point of view to help reinforce the brand picture? Then we start thinking about the customer journey. So how are we going to get them from that initial touch point, whether that's an ad, an email, whatever it is, all the way through the journey to ultimately making a decision to make a purchase? So these are all things as a creative team that we all start thinking about before we even pick up a pen or pick up a mouse and start designing things out. There are 6 essentials to creating successful marketing campaigns. We touched on one of these earlier, which is an epic headline. With Tillman Street, we've kind of looked at that and we started to build out a nice headline. I mean, this stat at the beginning about the 8 seconds is true. I mean, if you think about print ads, how many do you leaf past? It's very quick. You've got less and less time to capture someone's imagination or get them to kind of stop and look at you. So the headline is very, very important to doing that. So with Tillman Street, we took the approach of City Style 2016. We're forward thinking, we're looking to the future. We want to create this vision of urban chic. So the idea that ladies coming to this site, they can look at it, they can get an energy from it, and that headline basically plays up to the future vision, but also it's a step ahead of everyone else, which is nice. Essential number 2. This is the persuasive headline. So we stopped them in their tracks at that 20% off or the city vision. We stopped them in their tracks at that point. We got them attached to who we are, what we're trying to communicate. The next part is the subhead. What's going to keep them engaging with the page and read further on? So what we did here with Tillman Street in mind is the big key differentiator for them is affordable style. So you see that city looks, then you get down and it's affordable. That's cool. That's meets my objective. You see these nice pictures that balance that out. Essential 3. A picture is worth 1,000 words. It's very true. People process pictures easier. You can have an emotional attachment to an image. You can feel aspired to be that, or you can be demotivated to do something if the image isn't right. So you can do a lot with images, and it's not missed in what we did with Tillman. So again, I would do this with any client of ours. We always take a very deep dive into the visual communication that we're trying to portray, whether it's, everyone relies on stock images, but even there, if you're using stock images that are publicly accessible, you still want to look for something that differentiates you. It could be a filter, it could be the certain way someone's looking at the camera or something like that. These are the insights you need to look at when you're talking about images. So here, this image is aspirational, it's city chic. You can see the loveliness of the clothes. It's somewhat aspirational too because no one really looks like that. But it paints a picture and people will kind of react to that. If you notice, their eye line is driving you to the headline and the call to action as well. So that's another good key trigger for us. We're actually pushing them through the visual into our goal. These are all essentials we need to think of. Number 4 is the value proposition. This is where we tell the unique story. What's different about us versus someone else? What is your reason to believe, or what I call the with them? At the end of the day, a user comes to a site, they've got to want something from you, and unless you're telling them up front what's in it for you, you will oftentimes fail at your marketing efforts. So with Tillman, it was a little different. The with them for this is actually the value of the quality of the clothing and the cost that it will cost you to buy this aspirational clothing. So here, you know, you can see clear, great photography of each product, and we highlight the price. And these are pretty reasonable prices, honestly, compared to some others that we can see. The next one is about video. Video is, again, image draws you in, it keeps you on the page and you can direct people, but video is a way to communicate a brand story. It tells you everything you need to know about that particular client, that particular product. You can do it as an educational piece, you can do it as a motivational piece, you can do it as an inspirational piece. So again, we didn't miss out on that opportunity either, so within Tillman we suggested making a video and building that out. And last, but by no means least, is the powerful call to action. This is the make or break. You've stopped them, you've got them on the journey down the page, you've kind of created this visual aspiration or this emotional connection with your brand. You've proved that in the quality of your products and your pricing that everything's starting to resonate with them, but you can still trip up at this point. Slapping a learn more on a page isn't acceptable anymore. People have looked through that for a number of years. It's not a good, or click here, that's another terrible one that we should never use. So with Tillman, the call to actions are not just on the website, but they're also in email. And with Tillman, we have two audiences. We have a B2B audience, and the way we communicate with those guys is very different to the B2C. So B2B, we want to drive them into looking into next year's collection, so the winter collection for next year. We want them to be able to bulk order. So we're going to drive them through a call to action, get the catalogue. Very easy. So basically they go in, they download this catalogue, they'll be able to review it, make decisions on what they want to bring in based on the quality of the clothing they're seeing. From a consumer side, it's essentially the same thing. There's a nice promotion, 20% off, full 2015 styles, shop now, very direct, very to the point. This will take you straight to a decision-making moment where you can look at the clothing, click on the buy now link and you're done. So, these are the techniques that we bring in. And now I'm going to just quickly take you through the amount of effort and work that has to go into these kind of things. So when you look at this campaign overall, we have a landing page which looks like this. We drive people to this through various different media. We have a series of traditional banner ads. These are not necessarily animatic or anything, they're static, but they're driving a promotion, they've got a good call to action. They're somewhat aspirational in their look and feel, and it shows the products. We do a rich media version, which takes this to another level. This way we can do extra stuff. We can do geo-targeting. So based on where you are, we can change the look and feel of the ad based on where you're located. We can change it based on the weather. If it's a rainy day, we might want to put a rainy outfit on. So there's lots of things we can do within rich media. It makes it more engaging. And again, very clear call to actions. Buy now, 20% off. It's all reinforcing the brand story that we started at the beginning. We do social media, and again, there's a consistency here. The visuals are all kind of starting to connect together a little bit. We do the Google ads. We make sure the high quality photos are being used so that you can really see the quality of the products. Even in that tiny little picture, you get a sense of style and a sense of the quality of the clothing. And then from a B2B point of view, what we want to do is hand our retailers the opportunity to buy into the Tillman Street brand. So we give them a digital brochure. So basically there's a video embedded within a print piece. It tells the narrative of what Tillman Street is. It showcases a few of the items available to them, and ultimately turns them into just being a retailer into being a bit of a brand champion too. So with that, the campaign's launched. All this stuff is out there. We're pushing hard. We're getting all this, hopefully getting everyone to come in and look at all our products and start believing that Tillman Street is the next best thing since French Connection. But it doesn't stop there. We have to start analysing. This is one of the big differences between traditional and digital. In digital, we can track the pathway from the beginning to the end, and we can extend the pathway by optimizing and making sure that our engagement is continually to evolve. And with that, I'm going to hand over to Ron.